When most people picture East Texas, they think of towering pine trees and afternoons spent on the lake. Tucked away between Athens and Tyler is a place that surprises almost everyone who visits. High above the surrounding countryside sits New York, Texas, a tiny community home to one of the most unexpected destinations in our region. Here, visitors find themselves standing on top of one of the highest points of East Texas, looking out across miles of rolling hills that feel more like the Appalachian Mountains than the piney woods. But this story isn't just about breathtaking views or soaring through the trees. It's about a family that has discovered something special, choosing to preserve it, and now creating a place where grandparents, parents, and grandchildren can unplug, overcome their fears, and make memories together. In this episode of the Voices of East Texas, we are joined by Britt and Heath Chambers, the owners of New York, Texas Ziplines. We talk about taking over a beloved family business, why preserving the natural beauty of East Texas matter, and beyond. Whether you have ziplined before or have never considered it, this conversation is really about something bigger. It's about hospitality, stewardship, community, and the reminder that some of East Texas's greatest treasures are still waiting to be discovered. I'm Elena Sheets, and this is the Voices of East Texas. Let's listen in. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your connection to New York, Texas, to our listeners?
Sure. My name is Britt Chambers.
And I'm Heath Chambers.
We own New York, Texas Ziplines out here on Tater Hill Mountain. We're on the highest point in East Texas, and we offer ziplining with great views, as well as hiking and mountain biking and camping. We just really want people to have the opportunity to experience the outdoors out here.
That's amazing. So for the people who don't know where New York, Texas is, can you kind of give us a little bit of a geographical pin, sort of say, of where we are?
Sure. So where is New York, Texas? So we are about 15 minutes from Athens and 45 minutes from Tyler, to kind of put you. We're along 175, and a lot of people call this area the East Texas Hill Country because you've got some rolling hills out here and a little bit of elevation. We're nearby Lake Palestine, Lake Athens. We're kind of surrounded by water, which is super fun. But yeah, that's kind of where.
Very unique topography out here, though, that you don't see at Athens or Tyler, though. Definitely.
I can say that for certainty. I was not expecting to feel like I'm on top of a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
I've hiked the Appalachian Trail.
Okay.
So this feels like I'm standing on top of one of the mountains on the Appalachian Trail.
Yes,
But
yeah.
I'm in East Texas.
Absolutely. It's surprising to a lot
It
of
is
folks.
very surprising.
Even folks that live right around the corner, they get up the driveway and it's like, oh my goodness, I've just been transformed. I'm in another state or something.
Yes,
you know?
yes, for
Pretty cool.
sure.
Yeah, we had the news come out and do a story on the bluebonnets because we have gorgeous bluebonnets in the spring. And the news came out and did a little piece and showed the bluebonnets. And we had a couple of people just drive up from Frankston, which is just right around the corner. I mean, it's right down the road. And they were like, we saw this on the news. We thought it wasn't real. Like, they like came to prove the news wrong or something.
We love that, though. We love when folks come out just to check it out. If the gate's open, we want folks to come take a look.
That's amazing. So what first brought you to this property? What inspired y'all to take this over?
Yeah. So I was born and raised in Corsicana, Texas, and Heath is born and raised in Decatur, Texas. So we're native Texans. But my parents bought a house out on Lake Athens. We think in 2004. There's family discussion about that, but I think 2004. We're pretty safe. And the ziplines opened in 2008. So we've been coming out here. We found pictures of us before the kids were born coming out here, pictures with the kids when they were little coming out here. So we've been coming out here since they opened in 2008. And we moved, you were talking about the Appalachian Trail. We moved to the border of Virginia, West Virginia for a few years to run a camp. to us, this kind of looks like that. Like, so it was, um, when we came to visit, they mentioned that they were going to retire. The Schultz family, who originally started the zip lines, they mentioned that they were going to retire. And we, just kind of wanted to come up with a plan to make it work because it felt like everything that we loved about Virginia. But we were close to family again, but we ran a camp when we lived in Virginia so we could work outside, and we were running zip lines, and, so it was everything that we loved about our location there, kind of moved down here closer to family.
Yeah, but had no idea when we were running this camp that had zip lines and climbing walls that we were preparing ourselves to come take this place over. But it's particularly special for us because we would come out when we would gather as a family. So extended family would come out to Lake Athens on the 4th or Memorial Day and things. And then as a family, from grandparents to grandkids, nieces and nephews, we would all come ziplining together. And we still tell stories, about, remember when grandma screamed all the way down the lines and things like that. And so it's a really special place to us. The Schultz family always made us feel like family when we were out here. And so to be able to be out here on this amazing property and be able to share it, it's really cool.
It's very special. Is there a particular moment where y'all just realized, like, this is it, we're going to do this, and this is going to be amazing? Or were you kind of apprehensive about it?
I don't think we were ever apprehensive as much as like, just will it work? Financially.
Sure. Can we swing this?
Yeah.
Can we pull this off? Is this possible? Sounds great. I don't know.
In theory.
Theoretically, can we do it? I think we can, but I don't know. Let's see if we actually can put it all together. So definitely some anxiety it's definitely the biggest type of move we've done as far as big career change for all of us and moving the family and everything, but a lot of excitement as well, a place that we were already really familiar with.
Yeah. And the Schultz family made it, they bent over backwards to help us to, make sure everything kept running and to include us in kind of the handoff. In a way, we never shut the doors. It was always open, which I think was so important because there was consistency for customers. And, we tried to, I think our first social media post that I put up, that wasn't the Schultz putting it up, was basically like, we have new owners, but we're not changing anything. Like, it's okay.
Right. It's okay, guys.
Because we knew, like, that's why people come back over and over again, is because of their hospitality and because they felt like family. And, people had a lot of memories tied to being here. And we wanted to make sure they knew we were, pretty hell bent on continuing that part of it. We kept on the same staff. And we just tried to keep things as much the same as we could because everything they were doing was working. It wasn't, they were just ready to retire. So it was really special in that we were buying a business, but we weren't buying anything because there was a problem. And I think that that's a really unique experience for people. We've talked to other people that have taken over businesses and they're like, we got bad employees, or we got, we had to deal with all this unexpected stuff, or, and we just, that wasn't our experience. We got wonderful employees that feel like family. And, we're just very, very fortunate, the way that it all worked out. And it all happened so quickly. I don't know that we had too much time to think about it, or even, we just wanted to make it work. And
it
so
very much felt like a whirlwind thing
Yeah.
to where I was about to start another job. I was just going through the process of starting something completely, a normal type job, so even that was a big change to just mentally make. Like I was ready to, okay, this is what I'm going to do for a while. No, turns out I'm going to Texas. I'm going to swing from a cable for the next little while, but it's a blast. We love it. We really do.
So tell me about your visitors. What is one of the things that when they get up here is something common that they say that it never gets old?
I think for me, the biggest one is like, did I go through a portal on the way up here? Because you don't feel the hills as much until you reach our driveway. And then it feels like you're driving straight up for a little bit.
Pretty steep driveway.
It is.
Some people worry about that, particularly school buses. We do field trips and things out here, and you can hear the thing. It's I think I can, as it's making it up. But everyone makes it up. But yes, that look of surprise and just, almost amazement at times. We always recommend that even family members that aren't going to zip line still come out, because even if they're out, this is the best porch in East Texas as far as I'm concerned. The view is incredible. We always have a nice breeze. And so I think it's surprising to people, and when they do come, even if they're not ziplining, they're like, oh my gosh, I love this. I love hanging out on the porch and watching my kids or, family, flying through the air.
Yeah, and we get a lot of people that say, like, this looks like Appalachia, or this looks like, the Smoky Mountains, or, they feel like they're somewhere else. And that's really cool, because we're not that far from Dallas. We're not that far from Tyler, but it feels like a completely different world, and you can kind of shut off for a little bit. I think my favorite part, and Heath kind of touched on it, but, is seeing families actually do something together. This is a much more multi-generational activity than you would think. We get a lot of people that are older. And, so, and some of them come in groups of, just senior citizens that are coming out. But a lot of our older folks are, grandma and granddad, and then their 3 kids, and then their 12 grandchildren. And then, maybe grandma stays back because there's a great grandchild that needs to be held or something, like, and they can hike or, find rocks to pick up, the little ones can, but all of the smiles and the kind of like good natured razzing, that comes from that family. I think one of the best compliments we've ever gotten was like, somebody was like, my teenagers didn't want to come because it was outside. Like, they just wanted to play video games. They didn't want to come. And like, now they don't want to leave. And to me, that's the best compliment ever. I think for Heath, especially, we both grew up outdoors, but Heath grew up more outside than I did, I think. And Heath has just always, with our kids, with other kids, like through, whatever group we're a part of, he really wants kids to enjoy being outside and feel comfortable outside, and feel comfortable knowing that their body can do things that are a little crazy or a little adventurous, still, of course, in safety guidelines. But, I can't tell you how many people he's taught to ski or wakeboard or zip line or, just different things, even outside of owning the business, camp, hike. And so I think seeing those kids that are like, no, I don't like being outside, turn into like, it was hot, but that was the most fun I've ever had.
Absolutely.
That's the best, especially when it's a teenager that you can tell that maybe doesn't want to hang out with mom and dad, but then we've given them a way to do something all together. To me, that's the biggest compliment you could get. And maybe that's because I have teenager, and so I know that there is that push and pull, in that age set, but yeah, we really love that aspect of it.
Is there a moment where you all were like, this is going to be more than just a business. This is going to be more than just a paycheck for us to keep our family financially stable. Is this going to turn into something more that will touch other people's lives? And you kind of touched on that with touching teenagers and getting them outside. But like, as for your family, personally, has this turned into something more for y'all?
Yeah, we work with nonprofits and schools in every way that we can to get them out here. And that's, automatically nonprofits and schools get 50% off. We want, them to bring the kids out here, but then we work within that as well, to make it fit a budget. I'll tie it to, state standards if the school board wants them to make that, a field trip that happens. But our children were adopted out of foster care, and the foster families and the foster collective and, all of the Heart Gallery in Tyler, those are all organizations that we wholeheartedly support. I wasn't out here, but Lighthouse for the Blind has been out here. We do some inner city schools in Dallas, and so connecting nature as an outlet to reduce stress or to grow in, is definitely a mission for our family. And so, yeah, I mean, I think just seeing people have fun, whether that's in a family context or a school context or like we're trying to get together as a group to build like morale for work. I mean, like those are things that I don't think that we necessarily thought about when we first took over.
No, and the opportunity to be able to give back, or it's appealing to what we do out here is appealing to a really broad group. So I find that a lot of groups are receptive, especially for reaching out to them. And so it's made that easy to be able to both give back and run the business as a whole. But
well, and we have some accessibility issues. I mean, we're out in nature, we're on the side of a mountain, but we'll do whatever we can to make it accessible. So that might be taking somebody around on a side by side, or to try to give everybody the same opportunity. I'm not going to say we're perfect at that, because we're just not. The lay of the land makes it to where we can't be, but it's definitely something that we want to make sure as many people as possible are able to ride. We have a child with special needs, so we work really well with kids with autism or brain injuries, or kids that have Down syndrome that might need a little extra help with instruction. We can take it slower. We can give them a private tour so that there's not so many people around. We can give them earplugs so that the lines aren't loud. We kind of know what some of those limiting factors might be, but our family has always lived missionally, so that's like we always look for ways to help. But hospitality, is a huge hallmark of that. We want everybody to feel comfortable out here. I mean, that's what we want. And even if you're watching, you've decided you don't want to zip on and you just want to watch, like we want to make sure that there's lemonade on the front porch for you, that it feels comfortable, we love having people out. We love seeing people's faces.
We want you to feel like you're coming over to a friend's house.
Yes. Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm going to take a twist. What is your favorite season here on the property?
That's it. Can I get two?
Of course.
There's only 4, right? Come on. Gotta be all right. Is it not fall?
Mean, for me, fall is my favorite.
The color change is amazing out here.
Yeah.
You get a
I
lot
can't even
of
imagine
the
it.
reds, and there are so
Probably
many
breathtaking,
evergreens as well. It is. It's absolutely breathtaking. If you want, my best time to come out here would be, October, sometime
even
around
November. Yeah, they change later.
It's just amazing all around. Just amazing views, and with that color change. So
Yeah.
get some leaf peepers out here.
Yep.
And then of course the bluebonnets.
I mean, that's why I was having a
the
hard
bluebonnets
time.
are incredible. That varies. You're talking March, April. We typically get our crop a little earlier than others around, so that's special just for the month or two there.
Mhm.
But as far as overall,
a
give me
season
fall.
would be
Also
fall.
for just we're outside.
Yeah.
Right now we've got always have a nice breeze on the top of the mountain, but it can get kind of toasty out there when you're in the valley. So from a ziplining perspective, also nice whenever you can put on a light jacket if you want to, versus just trying to stay hydrated. And we go through a lot of popsicles out here trying to cool folks down this time of the year. So yeah, I'm team fall.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I would definitely say fall off the top, but then the bluebonnets are just so spectacular that I didn't want to leave them out.
Sure. And we are open year round. A lot of people ask that. But depending on, we're very weather dependent, of course. We're not ziplining in the ice or the snow or a thunderstorm or rain. A wet cable is like driving a car with bad brakes.
Yeah.
So have a lot of first timers. We want to set people up for success. But this winter was very mild, minus being iced in a handful of days. And so we had some great zip lining even in the winter just because it was so nice.
Yeah.
Why is preserving the natural beauty of the land so important to you?
There's a lot. There are zip lines closer to Dallas. There are zip lines, all around.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is they're not in a beautiful forest. The fact that we can talk about identifying trees or native plants while we're out there. Y'all see deer all the time. It's important because it's beautiful. I don't know why you would ever want to take that away. We are sitting on top of a lot of iron ore. We could make a lot of money if we pulled it up out of the ground, but that would strip all the trees, and I just can't do that.
And the iron ore is so beautiful. So we use a lot of it landscaping wise, but it would be a shame to lose the trees in exchange for the iron ore. So,
yeah.
And I think customers really like that. You are out. You definitely feel like you are way out in the middle of nowhere, flying through the trees, going into a canopy, and I think that's, keeping it that way and keeping the outdoors looking, it's between, natural and slightly manicured, we do a lot of work to keep it looking pretty out here, but also naturally pretty,
It is beautiful out here. What is one of your favorite stories of either taking a family ziplining or your own family that you have created here since you've been here?
Many times when it's someone overcoming fears, and you can tell that, they stood on that first platform for 10 minutes and we went over the safety, how it all worked again, and we talked it out, and there's, been many prayers up there on the first one, and sometimes they're not able to to take that step, but we've even had times, we had a big family group, and there was one of the little girls was just a little worried, and Britt took her around in the side by side. She didn't go off the first one with us, but the rest of the family went, and Britt and her mother drove around and met us, and we gave her an opportunity on the third line. She thought about it for a minute, and no, she was still a little too afraid. And so they met us again on the fifth one. And she, at that point, she'd been watching everyone else go. Everyone was doing a great job, and still needed a little bit of confidence boost, but was willing to go down tandem. And so we went down together, she and I was her brakes, and we crawled, 2 miles an hour down this line. We didn't even make it in because she wanted, I said, we'll go as slow as you want, and so we went down that, and immediately after that, she went down our second longest 900-foot line all by herself.
Wow.
And so it was just such a fun thing. And we have so many stories of people that come out here terrified of heights, and they're here to overcome that, and just seeing them, stick with it and do it. It's just, it feels great to see, because that meant something to them,
I think one of my favorite is when y'all had the group from Dallas. There were a bunch of kids from Dallas out, and they got out of the buses, and one of them asked you if there were tigers out there because he had never seen this many trees before, and was like, man, we're in the jungle. Like, what do I need to prepare for?
Call it wilderness. I think you could call this wilderness out here. There are a lot more homes around us than you would think, but the trees are all so mature. You feel like you're out here all by yourself.
Yeah. But I think that, just seeing people overcome their fears, seeing we get a lot of engagements out here, which is really fun. We've had some weddings out here. So those are, of course, really, really special moments. But seeing the families come together, or the groups of people that have been friends forever, come out, and it's just one more way to enjoy being together. That we've
absolutely.
gone on cruises together. We've climbed a mountain together.
Right.
We've done this, and it's just one more way to, really do something fun together.
What are you most excited for the future of New York, Texas, and Bunnies?
I think.
I mean, we're really trying to work up, hiking and biking on the property. It's such a unique place, and I know that the zip lines aren't the cheapest thing in the world. But I would love for people to come out and know that they could just enjoy the property, So we've worked on some trail maintenance and grooming and things
started
like that.
doing day passes to allow if someone just wanted to come out and hike the property.
Yeah.
That you could. Further down the road, we'd love to have some little cabins as well, so people could actually, more than a camping experience, do something more glamping, because the views are just so incredible. I know, the line would form to the left if we had some options to stay up here on the top of the mountain. So, and who knows, all our kids are getting old on us, so we might eventually turn the home even into a big B&B or something. And but who knows? A lot of opportunity. Just time and money is what I tell people. If it wasn't for those two things, we would be doing so many additional things. We'll of course want to expand the lines. We've got a nice topography. We've got a pond down there that is just begging to have a zip line that goes over it that you could drop down into. So we have a rappelling tower that is currently on the backside of our property that we're going to put upright and build a big climbing wall on the side so we can zip and climb. So all sorts of fun stuff eventually.
Yeah, I checked all the trees. There's a lot of trees out here. I've checked them all. None of them grow money.
No money.
It's a bummer.
But it's exciting to have the room and a lot of easy ready-made things that we could do with a little elbow grease.
Well, and you mentioned the house. The house itself is really unique. It was built in 1910, and they actually moved it here from Jacksonville. So the former owners, the Schultz,
Texas.
Yeah, not Florida. The former owners, the Schultz, he was a home mover by trade, and his wife fell in love with the house and wanted it up here, and he brought it up here. And I think a lot of the, even building the zip lines, they had kids that they were looking for something for them to do. The first zip line they put up, which was actually kind of a rendition of number 6, which is a long line. They just put up for their kids. They didn't put them up for. It wasn't started to make money. It wasn't started as a business. It was started for something really cool for their kids to do and their kids' friends. And then it was like people found out about it and churches started calling and saying, hey, can we come do the zip line? And it was like, oh gosh, we need insurance. Like we need to, this has to be a real thing if we're going to start inviting people out here, to zip line. But a lot of like the cables and things like that are just so similar to what he was using to move houses. And it was just a dad that loved doing stuff with his kids, and wanted to do something that was adventurous and fun and unique. And then that turned into like, hey, we could actually make money off of this. Like, this is actually something really cool. And for a while, they had the longest zip line in Texas, and
one of the first.
And
ones,
one of the
when
first
they were
in
opening,
Texas.
there were only maybe a couple in the entire state, and not a lot in the entire country.
Yeah, he tells stories about trying to get it insured, and it's like everybody was like, "You're doing what? Like you want to do?
Right.
You want to? No, like there's no insurance.
Right.
And it's still like there are only a few people that write for us. They insure this the same way they insure adventure and amusement park. So it's a lot of, we have a lot of steps. We have a lot of things that we have to get right. You were joking about updating your resume recently. We had to update our resume for the insurance.
Certainly.
And we were both like, what? Like, okay,
Quite a robust application.
It is, which I'm thankful for. You want to know that there are all of those safeguards there, and everybody, is kept in line. But and they come out and inspect it once a year. We change the lines out once a year to make sure that everybody's safe. But like that's just I love that, like, all of this started because a dad wanted to spend time with his kids, and then it's continuing because a dad wants to spend time with his kids. It's a true family business.
It's a legacy.
Yes. Yeah. And if you call, I answer the phone. If you book online, I'm touching that. I'm making the cookies so that, everybody has something to eat. And then, Keith's running the lines every morning, and it's our kids or great friends of ours from down the street that are the ones, that are running your adventure tour. And that's really special. That's hard to come by these days. And we're just so thankful that we get to all do it together.
That's amazing. So here at the Voices of East Texas, we're always asking what makes this region special and special to you. In your own words, what does East Texas mean to you?
I mean, for me, having the lake house in Athens, growing up on Lake Athens, I would consider that like the gateway to East Texas. Like that's kind of where it starts, where the piney woods change. My dad always says it's when you cross the Trinity River. That's like what he feels like when the trees start growing and the landscape changes a little bit. I mean, this is where all of my good memories are, being on the water with my parents, growing up, being yanked behind a boat at, I don't know how fast, but, and hanging on for dear life, with my friends. This was where we did that. And I didn't legally grow up in East Texas. I was, 30 minutes away, but this is where the memories are. And then, with my kids, when we lived in Dallas when the kids were little, but this was where we had fun. We came down here for, to shoot guns with my dad, or to ride the four-wheelers, or to, go for them to learn how to ski and be out on the lake. So to me, it's like relaxing, like and fun. Like the second you cross over, I mean, for me, the nostalgia of crossing over Cedar Creek Lake and entering into what is a safe place and a place to unwind and
unplug.
Yeah. That's, and now I get to live here, which is like, I wouldn't have even dreamed it. I mean, all the times that we came out here, I remember, I can't tell you how many times I said to Heath, like, I want to live down a road like this where the trees cover the whole thing.
Sure.
And then you just drive up and all of a sudden the house is there. Like, that's what I want, and we try to create that multiple times in our lives. Like, but this is it. Like but I never once dreamed of living here. Like, I didn't know that was possible. So when all of the stars aligned and it was like, we would love for y'all to take over the business. It was like, wait, what? Like, I didn't even know I was allowed to dream that. Like, I hadn't even thought about that. Now you're saying, like, I can dream it and it can be a reality. Like, I can dream it in a way that is a reality. We can put applicable things towards it. So, but I think, that just like feeling the weight fall off of you, everything's slower out here in a good way. And, but like for us, we still have, that's everybody's first question when they realize that we live out here on the property as well as, run the business. Where do you go to the grocery store? Like, it's just 20 minutes down the road. Like,
worth it.
That
worth
is
it. Give me the 20-minute drive for this.
And
easy.
if you're arguing over like that's too far, like you might live 4 miles from the grocery store in Plano, but it's going to take you 20 minutes to get there. I mean, like,
that's true.
It's not that big of a deal. And and I'm probably a little spoiled in the sense of like people want to come to us. So like a lot of times I don't have to drive to
Right.
to go to them.
You've
But
got the cool house.
I do, which is nice. And the zip lines. But you know, it's that's such a small price to pay for living somewhere so unique and different. And you know, just seeing the look on people's faces when they, you know, come up the driveway, like, whoa, where did I wind up? You were asking about favorite stories. I forgot this one, that we had a family that came. They had 5 kids, and they couldn't go anywhere for spring break, like dad's schedule, mom's schedule. Some of the kids were older, so like spring breaks didn't cross over. So they were kind of doing like as many excursions close by as they could, but they weren't telling the kids where they were going. And so they pull up, and I walk over to greet them, and I hear one of the little girls get out of the car. She's probably like 10 or 12, and she was like, "Where are we?" You know, like, "Where did you take us?"
Get a lot of surprises.
And at this point, I didn't realize they didn't know where they were.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh, you're in New York, Texas." And she was like, "I'm still like, what are we doing?" You know? And her mom was like, "We didn't tell him." And I was like, "Well, what do you think you're doing?" You know? And she was like, "No idea." You know, I mean, like, and she was like, climbing trees, like, you know, because from the parking lot, you can't see the zip lines yet. And then I walked him around to the back, and she was like, "Are we going zip lining?" Like, she saw, and that was, you know, just that surprise but I loved the, like, where are we? Like, what are we doing? And we'll get calls a lot that are like, you know, "We're driving like really far out. Am I doing the right thing?" And it's like, "Yeah, keep
You're
coming."
probably almost here. If you think you're lost, you're probably almost here.
But you know, and the people that stay, like, you know, they'll come out for a zip line tour, and that takes about an hour and a half. But then they're like, "Can we just sit on the porch for a couple of hours?" And sure. You know, I mean, like, I love that people feel comfortable enough to unwind and enjoy the day, you know. That's really fun to see.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think you pretty much covered it all, but I think East Texas to me is being outdoors and being with my family. That's what I think of. So wasn't born here, but we got here as quick as we could, right? Isn't that what they say?
Yeah. Yeah, because my dad always had land even beyond the lake house. That was always in East Texas. Like, now that I think about it, you know,
That's
so
when it starts to get pretty.
yeah, that's
Right?
why I bought it, you know. But
No shade on the rest of the, you know, the Metroplex, but you know, a lot prettier out here.
yeah,
Well, thank you guys. Thank you for sharing.
Yes.
Thank you
Yeah, thank
for
you.
having us out here and hosting us here.
yes,
This is, I can't even, it is breathtaking and amazing. I was not expecting any of this.
So glad.
yeah.
So thank you. And thank you for letting us be here and do this. And thanks for reaching out.
Yes.
Thank you guys
Thank
so
you.
much.